Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. I'm going to start with a funny story. I created the video that I wanted to create showing the redrawing of the dome right from scratch with the slightly amended method or approach. I got right to the end, very happy with it, went to justify just how accurate I was, took a couple of measurements and found that they were wrong, and I'm thinking, oh no. Deary me, I'm wrong. Then started to swear in the recording and then stopped the recording. Carried on checking the measurements and realised I was measuring it from the wrong spot. It was perfect, but by then the video was deleted. Now, this time, redraw it as fast as I can without the swearing. Like all the domes that we've done so far, we start with a 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre lines on the 3 axes. So I'll start with that right now, draw it in. Where's my line? 1 metre. Oh, I've zoomed out. Up here, 1 metre. And of course, 1 metre out. Nothing unusual. Now I'm going to do a more thorough drawing of it because it's not for those that have been following, or simply for those, but for perhaps the people that haven't seen this part of it before. They're coming to it fresh. So we're making a grid-based quad dome, if that helps. Now I'm going to make an arc down there, but I'm going to change the 12 sides to 4. How do I know it was 12 sides? Well, I've done it before. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this round, not draw another one. And the reason for that is rotating them round means that I'm taking the exact same shape, in this case an arc, and I'm not introducing any chance of an error. They're identical. Group. I'm going to select everything, make sure they're now going to be a group. Now, straight away, each point where the arc or arch is divided by that segment, those 4 segments, this is based therefore on around a 4V dome, I'm going to draw a vertical line straight down to the line there and there, straight down. Now, I don't need all these lines, but you would if you were going to create a full dome. So what I'm drawing will enable you to create a full dome, but we're of course doing the truncated version. Again, I'm going to use the rotate. So I take those 3 lines and I rotate them down. Rotate again. So we create a grid. And because I'm doing that as a rotate exercise, once more it's identical. All those lines are identical. I group all these. You'd really want to group things when you're using multiple lines like I am. I will now expose everything, and that's the base for our dome. One thing that I think I did was when I drew a smooth arc to get the intersection points, I wasn't using these grids in the manner that I am now. And when well, actually I'll draw it. Arc here to here and down. And I'm going to change that to a 50 segment line or arc. The difference between the arc with 50 segments and one with 4, you can see, well, there is a difference. And I may not have gone far enough in refining that arc, and when I tried to intersect a line, it picked up a lesser arc. Tricky to explain, but I think that's where I'd picked it up, the error. Now, hide and hide. Even though I don't need this one at the moment in this part of the creation of the dome, this doesn't save as a group. But if we draw a line from that point to that point and save it as a group, then click into it, get rid of that line, SketchUp recognizes it as a group still. And that way when we draw other lines it doesn't get divided and muckers up. So unhide everything. I don't really need that line, I just wanted to show you what was doing there. I create one more arc from that point down to this point here. Again, divide it, and this is the important one, divide it into 50 or more. I'll do the same thing and I'm going to group it. Click into it, get rid of that line because it's unnecessary, and this is now is retained as a group as far as SketchUp is concerned. Now I've got to draw a couple of lines from this intersection straight up. I just need to zoom in a bit because it's a bit glitchy, but what you're aiming for is to get an intersection, and normally when you get an intersection you'll get SketchUp will draw across. I don't get it on this, it won't do it for whatever reason, but if I go up very close to the line then just move off ever so slightly, it's still saying I'm intersecting. So you saw that in the wee dialog box, so that's important. I'll draw one more line, same method, zoom in quite close, it touches, I can just draw off the line, and it just makes sure I'm getting the intersection point. Now I'm intersecting pieces of geometry, so therefore they are drawn very accurately. Now rather than create another arc and intersect a line, all I need to do is to rotate and copy that line there. So we're basically there, but I'm putting one more line in and I'm just going to draw it up, and I'm going to make it the same height as this intersection. Oops, I grab those three lines I've just drawn in and I'll make a group, and I can get rid of the arc. I can actually delete it, and that one, we don't need them anymore. So now we've got the points of the dome that we need for the surfaces, but I want to modify this line. So I click into the group and I divide it by 4. Why 4? Why not? It can be divided into whatever number you want, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and all it is to give you a point for your leg to be drawn, and it's arbitrary, it's just subjective. Now I quickly will draw the surfaces of the dome, and I'm not grouping them as a face. Oops, what have I? I'm just going to undo that. That shouldn't have happened. I was obviously clicking something that didn't want to draw the face or surface. Pausing. Whoop. Just about drew it in the wrong place. Right. I'm going to make a group, and I call this the roof. This does not get altered. Now, if I take this point here, which is the theoretical or geometrical dead center of the sphere, and draw a line from there to any of these points along the arcs that I've drawn, it should be exactly 1 meter. Same here, 1 meter, 1 meter. However, when I come to the hexagon and draw here, if you look down in the bottom right hand corner, it's showing the about 1 meter. In SketchUp speak, that means within 1 millimeter of a meter. So that's we squiggly line, we all know what that means, about, or roughly. So it is within 1 meter. That point there, within 1 millimeter. The importance there is if you had an error there and then you expand this out, multiply it out in size to get your required dome size, like in my case it's a 6 meter square base, any error there would get multiplied by whatever factor that you increase it by. But when I do that now, I still get it to within a millimeter, so I know that whatever error is in there, it is minuscule. Anyway, carrying on. This line was divided into 4. I can create a leg of this dimension, and this is a very leggy dome, very high. The only reason you'd probably use a dome like that with a leg that long would be as if you're putting a truck under it. Anyway, I'm not. So that's one. There's another. So we'll look for one of the divisions on the right there on the line, and that creates another option for a leg height. Of course, you look for another one. That will be it there. Oops, it's already created it. Make a group, and we've got another one available to us. It's there. And there we go. Now you'll be saying, David, there's another one. And I'll be saying, no, there's not. Because if I made a surface there for the leg, it would create a convex, or concave rather, shape between the two surfaces. Now, that is not what you want for a dome. Just saying. This one is concave, as we do want, but it's not concave by a lot, and it doesn't really lift the dome up sufficiently. So I'm going to say no to that one. This one again, unless I was putting a truck under it, no. So I'm left with these two options. Having tried them, and when I've scaled it, I've settled on this one, and it does look a little bit better. And it means that when Chris is placed under it, the chappy that we use to model or size or gauge, he can stand just to the side, and being, I consider, probably 5 foot, well, 6 foot, 1.8 meters high, he can stand just to the side and clear his, won't bang his head. So I'm going to say no. So you can see that this dome was created very, very basically with these lines, and now we've got our accurately drawn dome. Pretty cool. Now, if I unhide everything, so I must have deleted Chris at some stage, so not to worry, I'm sure he won't mind. If I take this, and this is just a way of checking the accuracy, and I move it out 5 meters, I'll hide that. If I spin this round, no, actually I won't. I'll draw in a couple of guides. Pausing. Okay, and one from there. And I'll draw in a base. Get rid of the guides. Make a group. Now, if I want to make this a 6 by 6 meter dome from point of the leg to point of leg, I need to scale it. So what I can do is, using the tape measure or the guide, I can draw from there to there, type in 3 meters. Do you want to resize the model? Yes. Where's it gone? Well, it's grew a bit. So that now is the size of the dome that I want, and the height from there down is about 1700, which has always been one of my goal measurements, to have anywhere between 1600 and 2 meters. That falls pretty well, and I like 1800 as the ideal measurement head height for most people. most. But we never have our dome sitting directly on the ground, so this could be elevated, would be elevated by X amount, and that way you get your ideal height here. It's pretty sweet. Accurately drawn dome. And if I unhide, this has been rescaled as well. Now notice that if I go up to this point here, 4243, 4243, 4243, what is it here? 4242. So that's showing that it is within 1 millimeter. Pretty darn good, considering the size of the dome now. So that way you can double check your measurements, and you can be assured that as you go forward, you've got an accurate dome, easily drawn, and if you wanted to replicate this again, you've got a method to do it. Yay! Now that didn't take long. It took longer probably with me talking. You could do this within probably between 5 and probably 10 minutes would probably be realistic. So there you go. Very accurate quad. But well, why is it? Oh, okay. Why is it called a quad-based dome for those that are watching for the first time? Or a grid-based dome? Well, let's have a look. If I rotate this round 90 degrees times 3, we go to the top and we take the perspective off. You can see why it's called a grid-based, because it's based upon a grid, as seen in plan view. It also means that these can be divided in half or quarters, and not only that, but the whole section can be divided, well, the whole dome can be divided along this line as well, which is only able to be done on the grid-based dome. It's really cool. Also, if you took the legs off, these would sit directly on the ground, or you could put poles in here and act as a different mean of support. Pretty darn good. Rightio, that's it. It's gone a couple of minutes longer than I was expecting, but now you've got the method to draw a grid-based, quad-based dome accurately. Okay, that's it. See you later. Bye.